Sair da escola já com uma formação profissional no currículo? Parece bom demais pra ser verdade, né? Pois é. No ensino técnico do Senac, isso é possível. É ensino médio junto com formação técnica, que acontece durante os 3 anos. Lá, eles usam metodologia para projetos, desenvolvendo competências como resolução de problemas, pensamento crítico e colaboração, além de valores éticos e sustentáveis. Quer saber? Senac. Acesse sp.senac.br/ensino médio e saiba mais.
Não é tempo técnico, mas é intervalo aqui no podcast. Já imaginou se seu time tivesse um seguro para não perder nunca? Pois é, isso não existe. Mas com a Zurich Seguros, quem não perde nunca é você. Na Zurich Seguros, os planos se adequam às suas necessidades em qualquer momento da sua vida. Seja seguro de auto, residência, vida e muito mais. Diferente de alguns times, na Zurich Seguros você pode confiar. Para saber mais, acesse zurich.com.br ou consulte seu corretor.
Now tuned into the greatest.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The Run, the Manny Wilson podcast.
The best sports podcast there is.
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, all the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. I appreciate you tuning in to the first interactive sports podcast, you know, a community that makes sure your voice is heard. So if you hear something you agree with, you disagree with, you like or you dislike, go ahead, shoot us a quick take on our voicemail line, 219-413-9405. And of course, we'll play your take back on our next episode. And shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this episode. Get $20 off your first ticket purchase when you use the promo code TheRunPodcast. Now, this code can only be applied for first-time users on the mobile app or website, so I don't know about you, but go ahead, create that account and use that $20 code to save yourself $20. And I mean, hey, go to some of these games or something. Football season, NBA season, college football, all of these different games is going on. And if you listen to this show, you need to go. So speaking of games, though, let's go to the NFL because the Buffalo Bills, man, they just defeated the Kansas City Chiefs in a close matchup. They won over the Chiefs 30-21 in close games. Bills are now on a 6-game winning streak. Josh Allen showed up clutch on a last-minute drive that helped give the Chiefs the win. They gave them a 9-point lead. And, you know, some of my initial thoughts on this is I know everybody's going to praise Josh Allen for what a job he did and leading his team on that game-winning drive, extending the lead, all of that stuff. But really, bro, all around, it was a great game. And I think the big shout out here needs to go to the Buffalo Bills defense. Because let's be honest for a second, bro. If the Bills don't close out that last stretch that the Chiefs got the ball back, people are saying, oh, the Chiefs, they're the best team ever still. They still own the Bills. They own the Bills. All of this stuff, blah, 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 about how great the Chiefs are and how bad the Buffalo Bills are. Because you got to remember, bro, the Bills defense, they had to stop Patrick Mahomes with 2 minutes left on the clock. And we all know Patrick Mahomes with 2 minutes left on the clock is a lot of time, but you got to give credit to the Bills defense for sticking strong, buckling down, getting an interception, and really closing out the game. Because if they don't, you know, people are on their heads. They're saying, oh, the Bills, they're frauds. They're not as good as we thought they were. It would be a lot of trash talk. So right off the bat, I just want to say, man, hey, great job for the Buffalo Bills closing that game out in a way that they should have. Because, I mean, they deserve a lot of credit here. It's going to go to Josh Allen, of course. Mainstream media is going to praise Josh Allen on what a great job he did. But he did do a wonderful job. So did all the other guys over there. Josh Allen played great. Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel, James Cook, all of those guys, and the offensive line, they played great. But this defense definitely deserves a lot of credit for truly, truly closing this game out and not even allowing the Chiefs to score and possibly get an onside kick. Because it was a 9-point game, Chiefs, they didn't even get a chance to score and possibly kick an onside. So I love that from there. They ended up sacking Patrick Mahomes twice. They forced 2 interceptions. One was early on in the first quarter, actually. And then they closed out the game with another interception, too. So I'm loving what I've seen from the Bills defense. I think that's a great all-around team. They complete some tackles. They make tackles. They force turnovers. And ultimately, they try and limit the runs that other teams have. And I know Chiefs' run game is not the best right now. But, I mean, hey, they still did a great job in that specific game. So want to give credit to them. But I will say, of course, I can't let this be all roses for the Buffalo Bills because what kind of show would this be if I just gave rows after rows after rows to teams who were playing on Sunday? That's not the case. I know everybody's so hype about the Bills beating the Chiefs like we haven't seen this before. This is what a little bit bothers me because, I mean, it was a good win. You needed it. Of course, you want to beat the Chiefs anytime you can. You ended their win streak. They're no longer undefeated. You won at home. It's a lot of upside to this victory over the Chiefs. But above all, bro, this is nothing we have not seen before. The last 2 times, did you know this? Actually, I want to know, did you know that last 2 times the Bills beat the Chiefs in the regular season, the Chiefs ended up going to the playoffs and winning the Super Bowl? Did you know that? So, yes, I know this is a huge victory for the Bills to win over the Chiefs in the regular season, but ultimately the playoffs is really where it matters, and the playoffs is where the Bills seem to get stuck every time when they go against the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs are 3-0 over the Bills in the playoffs since this Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen era. So I get it. It's fun. It's cool. You beat the Chiefs. Woohoo. Get a cookie. But at the same time, playoffs is when it really matters because that's when it seems like nobody in the AFC can ever beat Patrick Mahomes. So that's when you should be doing all the celebrating. That's when we should hear the chanting and stuff. And I get it, man. Like, anytime you beat Pat Mahomes, it's exciting. And Bills fans should be excited. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying, the last thing you want is Patrick Mahomes to go back in the regular season, finish out the regular season strong, and then come playoffs, he pull a lethal shooter. I understand now. And now he knows how to beat you. Now he's winning games. Now he's throwing it over your head. Now he's running the ball. Now he's getting the game-winning drives. All the stuff we didn't see in the regular season. So I'm just saying, bro, it's fun. It's cool. It's laugh. Let's joke. Ha, ha, ha. Bills is great. Oh, they're the championship team. Whatever. They're going to go to the playoffs and win. They're better than the Chiefs. Chiefs are frauds. I get it. All that noise is cool. Just know, 3-0, playoffs. Bills have not been able to beat the Chiefs historically in this Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen era. All right, anyway, look, man, we got a quick side note here because I got to let you know. So for all the noise going on in the league with the MVP conversation, I think there's only one person who really, really deserves a lot of praise for the MVP, and I think it should be unanimous. Lamar Jackson is the MVP of the league, period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. No one else is comparing. I think Lamar Jackson has shown us week after week. I know they just lost against Pittsburgh, whatever. But Lamar Jackson has shown us week after week why he deserves his 3rd MVP. I mean, there's only been one game where he's completed less than 60% of his passes. He's only has 3 interceptions this entire season in the first 11 games, which is huge. He's been taking care of the ball like crazy. And then honestly, some of those interceptions out of the 3 weren't even his fault. There was a couple that was not his fault. He had 2 game-winning drives so far this year, and they both were against the Bengals, which was a huge game, but beautiful drives that we've seen. And I think above all the statistic type of things that I can list out and continue to name, ultimately, this dude and what he's been doing with the ball has just been mad creative, man. Mad creative and very smart with the ball and just really, really strategic with the ball and his offensive approach. And I love that watching Lamar Jackson because even against the game-winning drive against the Bengals a couple weeks ago, we seen him throw a touchdown pass, and he pretty much shot a floater, like a basketball floater. Like it looked like you might have seen Ja Morant go to the hole and just floater it up. That's how it looked, but it was beautiful. It's like those are the type of things where, yeah, we talk about Pat Mahomes and the creative ability that he has. Josh Allen too, but like Lamar Jackson doing those type of things is just tremendous, man. Tremendous. And above all, they got the winning formula, or at least they had the winning formula of winning ball games consecutively. But yeah, obviously they ran into tough times going against the Steelers this past week. But I think above all, man, he's just been extremely smart with the ball. And Lamar Jackson, to me, is just like indubitably the MVP of the league because of how great he's been statistically, but also from a creative standpoint and taking care of the ball and just being smart with the ball. Like we've seen his play at a completely another level. So I'm loving what I'm seeing. Other people I think could possibly come into the conversation if there had to be someone else in the conversation. I would say Jared Goff or Josh Allen. Jared Goff, man, has just been tremendous. Like I'm not upset at anybody who's who's hooting and hollering about Jared Goff getting MVP, because what this dude has been doing is ridiculous, man. He played a perfect game earlier in this season, threw 18 passes, completed 18 passes, and he also threw for over 250 yards in that game. Longest pass was 70 plus yards. So like, to me, man, that's just crazy, because we don't see things like that often. And above just from that specific game, there's a lot of games where Jared Goff is completing 80% of his passes thrown. Like, this man he's been doing his thing. He's winning games. He's leading that offense. And I'm not upset. Again, I'm not upset at anybody who's hooting and hollering about Jared Goff winning MVP, because this dude has been playing tremendous. We seen him early on with the Rams. He was always a solid quarterback, but now he's taking it to a completely another level. And like, it's crazy, man. So I definitely condone any Jared Goffs for MVP. And then as far as Josh Allen, I think Josh Allen is definitely on a trajectory for MVP as well, man. Josh Allen, 6th in touchdowns thrown right now, only 5 interceptions, which is still very, very good. And he's winning games also, too. So I love what I'm seeing from Josh Allen. But above all, I would put Lamar Jackson and Jared Goff on that hierarchy above him if I had to choose an MVP. But I wouldn't be mad at anybody hooting and hollering about Josh Allen winning MVP either, because, I mean, he's been playing solid. So other than that, look, man, hey, leave us a quick take on our voicemail line. 219-413-9405. We'll play your take back on our next episode. Go ahead, shoot us a call. If you watched any football games, you watched some of the games I'm talking about, or one of the games that I mentioned from these players, shoot us a quick take on our voicemail line, 219-413-9405, and we'll play your take back on our next episode and respond to it. Let everyone who's listening hear what your thoughts are on that game. So go ahead, get your hot takes off. Go ahead, get your questions off, whatever it is. Anyway, we got some news for the run coming up in just a sec. Some college football, a little bit of NBA, NFL as well. So just stay tuned. And then we have a comparison in the NFC East, or in the NFC in general. I'm not going to say which conferences, but it's been a lot of talk. So we'll touch on that in just a sec. But don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. It's halftime. We'll be right back. All right, man, so some news for the run. Starting off, I would kind of want to just revisit that Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fight, bro. That fight was awful. Anybody who watched that, I'm just like curious if you really thought it was going to be a good fight, if you was anticipating a knockout. Like, I'm sorry, but if you were, I kind of think that was just silly. Both guys looked like they were holding back at times where they could have really went full throttle and hurt each other, but it seemed like it was a fight with your uncle who think he still got it, and y'all just put the gloves on and went head to head with some headgear. It wasn't a good fight, but I kind of anticipated it not being a good fight all along, which was why I didn't even bother talking about it on here or hyping it up at all, because no, it was a shame. Anyway, some NBA. I want to give you some of the standings going on in the NBA, because there's a couple teams that are off to a hot start early on. And just want to give you a quick breakdown of who those teams are. So the Cleveland Cavaliers, surprisingly, I don't know how, but they haven't lost a game. They're 15-0, and they've been smacking teams lately. So they're number 1 in the East, number 1 in the NBA in general. Then after them, you got the Boston Celtics, who are 11-3 in the Eastern Conference. But above all, man, that Cleveland Cavaliers team has been balling. Crazy. In the Western Conference, you got the Golden State Warriors. They're 10-2. Doing their thing after the Warriors. Then it's the Oklahoma City Thunder. Thunder is 11-3 right now. Then the Houston Rockets are actually off to a pretty good start too. They won 10 games and only lost 4 games so far. But above all, a lot of people are eyeing the Golden State Warriors, because not many people expected the Warriors to have much success after losing Klay Thompson. But let's just say that Buddy Hield fit is definitely a great fit for the Golden State Warriors. And then let's go to college football too, because college football had some great games, a couple of good games there to watch. Oregon, they ended up beating Wisconsin in a close game. They won 16-13. Ohio State, they smacked Northwestern 31-7. Texas, they beat Arkansas 20-10. Penn State smacked up Purdue 49-10. Tennessee fell short to Georgia Tennessee was ranked higher than Georgia prior to this week. Tennessee was at number 7 and Georgia was at number 12. But Georgia ended up winning this game 31-17. Notre Dame, they beat Virginia 35-14. Alabama beat their opponent 52-7. It was a beatdown on all angles. Colorado, they ended up winning another game. They beat Utah 49-24. Clemson, they beat Pittsburgh. Florida, they ended up beating LSU. LSU was a ranked team and Florida was not ranked at all. So this was a huge upset for those LSU fans. They lost 27-16. And then just to give you the rankings as well, because as you know, the rankings always change. I think it comes out actually on Sunday. But some interesting things happened for the rankings. And Oregon still at number 1. Ohio State at number 2. Texas is at number 3. Penn State is at number 4. And Indiana is at number 5. Now, mind you, Indiana still has not lost a game. Some people are calling them frauds. Some people are saying they don't play anybody. But when you look at the point totals from Indiana, I think it's just too great to call Indiana frauds. They're putting up 40, 50 points on teams smacking conference opponents, and that's still difficult to do. So I understand when people have an easy schedule, you're supposed to win. But bro, you got to give Indiana credit because this team putting up 50 points is not easy. If you were winning games and you were winning by 3 points and 7 points against easy opponents or conference opponents, then I think that's something where you could say, okay, maybe they're not that good. But bro, come on, 40 points, 50 points, 25-point margins. Yeah, Indiana, I think they're a force to be reckoned with. And they're ranked number 5 right now. So I think we'll see them move up. Mind you, they're still undefeated. 3 teams in front of them have lost a game so far. Ohio State, Texas, and Penn State have all lost a game. Oregon is the only undefeated team in top 5 right now. And Indiana is at that top 5, but they should be top 4 because the top 4 is going to have a playoff bye week the first week. Anyway, I talked about a lot about Indiana. Alabama, they moved all the way up to number 7. Don't know how they bounced all the way back up to number 7. Georgia, they moved up to number 8. Miami, they went back up to 11. Tennessee fell down a couple slots. They're at number 10. Boise State, they're solid. They're at number 12 right now. They only lost 1 game. Then you have a couple of other teams. Colorado, they're at number 16, trying to make their way to top 12 to enter the college football playoffs. Colorado only has 2 losses. They're 8-2 right now. But above all, they've been playing some solid football. And I think the only other undefeated team in an AP poll right now is Army. Army is 9-0, and they're ranked 18. All the other teams who are undefeated are top 5 and above, and that's Indiana and Oregon. So you got 3 undefeated teams remaining in the rankings right now. So I'm hoping that we see Army actually, go up and move up in the rankings, because it would be nice to watch them in the playoffs since they are undefeated. So we'll see, man. Definitely some good things from college football, but let's go ahead and move on to the NFL season. I'll give you some recap of the scores that's happening in the NFL. So just to give a quick reminder of the prime time game that happened last night, just in case you didn't get to watch, the Bengals, they ended up losing to the Chargers, and it was a close game here. Bengals, man, they ended up coming back, which was wild. I thought the game was over, then I ended up checked the score, and I seen that it was actually a close game, 27-27 in the 4th, and then Justin Herbert ended up leading his team to a game-winning drive. J.K. Dobbins ended up scoring and giving the Chargers the lead, and then that just pretty much solidified it there for the Chargers to win that ball game. Then you had the Chiefs versus the Bills, as I just talked about. Bills won that game 30-21. That was another great game over in the AFC. Moving to the NFC, Seahawks, they had another game-winning drive. It was some good football, man. They beat the 49ers 20-17, and Geno Smith led his team down on a game-winning drive and beat the 49ers. Crazy, because Geno Smith didn't throw it in there. He ran it in there himself, similar to how we seen Josh Allen run the ball in there himself on that game-winning drive. The Steelers, they ended up beating the Ravens. The Ravens fell short to the Steelers 16-18. Steelers, man, it was just a wild game. They beat the Ravens without scoring a single touchdown this entire game. Crazy. This is like the second or third time the Steelers have done that. They did it in week 1 against my Atlanta Falcons, and then they just did it again against the Baltimore Ravens. So crazy. Everybody was out there making fun of the Falcons in week 1 and above, talking about, oh, you lost to a team that didn't score. Hey, Ravens, welcome to the club. I'll say that Colts, they beat the Jets in a close matchup, 28-27. Jets are awful right now, 3-8. No way they make the playoffs. It was high hopes for having Aaron Rodgers, but the crazy part is Zach Wilson actually has a higher win percentage with the New York Jets than Aaron Rodgers have with the New York Jets. Crazy. The Rams, they beat the Patriots. Dolphins, they ended up beating the Raiders. Vikings, they beat the Titans. Lions smacked the Jaguars. Another 50-piece on the Jaguars. Crazy they keep doing that. Man, Bears, Packers was a close game. Bears just could not get it done because of a field goal once more. They missed the field goal, and that ultimately gave the win to the Packers. So it was a crazy, crazy game there. Then you had the Broncos. Man, they smacked up my poor Atlanta Falcons. I could not believe what I was watching. I had to cut it off midway through. Eagles, they beat the Commanders for Thursday Night Football. And then tonight for Monday Night Football, tonight we're going to see a great game, hopefully, between the Houston Texans and the Dallas Cowboys. I think the Texans gonna win this game. I don't even know why I hyped it up like that. I really think the Texans just gonna end up smacking the Cowboys. Man, the Cowboys don't have a quarterback, and the Texans, they get Nico Collins back. So I think it's just gonna be a brutal beatdown. Anyway, one of the matchups I was talking about, and I wanted to review in terms of the NFC. I've been hearing a lot of conversation that's slightly driving me crazy about the NFC. So there's some conversations that's getting out of hand in the NFC. And just to say this, when I say things, I more so mean narratives that's getting out of hand in the NFC. And specifically, I'm not sure what the Philadelphia Eagles fans are drinking over there or what they're sipping on or what they're smoking. It's something crazy because a lot of Eagles fans are now thinking they're the best team in the NFC. And when I say best team in the NFC, I mean better than the Detroit Lions. And I got to let you know, Eagles fan, you're not better than the Detroit Lions just yet. Eagles aren't anywhere as good as the Detroit Lions. And I personally think they don't even compare. Both of these teams are very, very similar to each other. But I think the Lions have one distinct factor that separates them from the Philadelphia Eagles. And that factor is just being consistent. And they can play multiple styles. The Detroit Lions don't have to just run the ball all game in order to win ball games. They don't have to rely on their rushing to win them ball games like the Philadelphia Eagles have to do. Obviously, as I said, both similar. They got strong run games. I think Eagles even have more yards, and they also have more rushing attempts with the ground game. But above all, when the run game isn't going and you have to pass the ball, that's where we see that big difference between the Eagles and the Detroit Lions. So the Lions, they're third in passing right now per game in the NFC. Eagles are bottom 5 in passing yards per game. Touchdown passes, Jared Goff is second in the NFC. Completion percentage, Jared Goff has the highest in the NFC. Sacks allowed, Hurts is number 4 in the NFC. Jared Goff is somewhere way below number 10. So passing is the big difference here. Jared Goff has more passing yards per game, a higher completion percentage, and less sacks. And he only has 7 more passing attempts than Jalen Hurts. So it's not like the Lions are just throwing the ball every single play or anything like that. No, that's not what we're seeing. So I think that deciding factor for which offense is better and which team is better really, really relies on the Lions being more diverse in what they can do with the ball on the offensive end. Because the weapons, even when you look at the receiving options, are very, very similar. Both have extremely healthy weapons and extremely dominant weapons on that receiving end. And some could argue that the Eagles even have more. But above all, when you look at the creativity that the play calling has on the Detroit Lions, it's far, far, far past what the Eagles have in their creativity with the offensive play calling. Big factor comes down to, I trust Jared Goff to win games passing more than I trust Jalen Hurts to win games passing. With Jared Goff, I know he shows up in the clutch. I know he's accurate. I know he's going to dial in and lock in and win the Lions the game. With Jalen Hurts, you got to hope. You got to hope that he's locked in this game. And you got to hope that he's going to be on his best behavior and have his best passing game, because sometimes he's not there. So I think that's what really separates the two. Obviously, both defenses are locked in. Both defenses are solid. And I think above all, Eagles really have the statistical advantage on defense. But we're going to see how that works, because in this second half of the season, Lions, they just picked up Zadarius Smith on the edge. They had a lot of injuries on that defensive front for the Lions, and they still been dominant, still holding teams under 10 points, still holding teams under 20 points who can score the ball. So above all, I think the Eagles are good. They're competition in the NFC for sure. Competition. If anybody can beat the Lions, maybe it would be the Eagles right now, but I don't think they're better than the Lions, man. Lions have been rolling. Even on their worst game of the season, they still somehow managed to get a win. Houston Texans is what I'm talking about. So crazy there, but interesting conversation to be had. And maybe we'll have the conversation again, because playoffs is right around the corner. So who knows? We'll see. If you want to chime in on a conversation, go ahead, shoot us a quick take. 219-413-9405. And of course, we'll play your take back on our next episode and share that with everyone who's listening. I'll say this, man. I'm going to leave y'all with a positive note here. And on that positive note, I'm going to just say this, man. Timing is everything. So be ready when an opportunity comes your way. Do whatever you got to do to make sure you're prepared. But be ready when that opportunity comes your way, because timing is everything. The opportunity may not be there for you today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. But when it does come, would you rather be prepared, or would you rather have to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, damn, I was not ready for this. I wasn't ready. But if I was, I could have had it. I could have. Only if. So just be ready. Timing is everything. Make sure you prepare, and just be ready for when that opportunity meets the preparation. Other than that, man, look, send this, accept that however you want to, accept it. However you perceive that message is how you perceive it. But send this to a cousin, a brother, an aunt, an uncle, a niece, a nephew, a coworker, a friend, a family member, a sister, an aunt, anyone you know who enjoys sports. Just send this their way. I promise they're not gonna mind, especially if, who cares? Just send it to them. It doesn't even matter. Just send it to their ass. I promise you they're not gonna care. And then if you haven't known by now too, you don't have to send them the whole episode. You can just send them a section. So we've been clipping off the sections lately where it's like, say, for example, in the beginning of the episode, talked about the Bills and the Chiefs. Like, that's going to be clipped to just that section. So you can always just send them a portion of the show. And like, hey, just say, hey, check this out. Listen to this segment. I thought it was interesting. He talked about this. Or you ain't even got to explain. Just send it to him, because maybe y'all was having a conversation. Who knows? Anyway, look, man, I'm going to leave it at that. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on YouTube, all of the social medias at The Run Podcast. Watch the YouTube videos, send that to a friend, a partner, whatever, too. Follow us on there. Twitter is, what is Twitter? Podcast and Run. Twitter is Podcast and Run, but Instagram, TikTok, at The Run Podcast. Follow us on there. You see all the clips and stuff too, just in case you don't get a chance to listen to the show. Anyway, man, I'm out of here. So we'll be back later on this week, and so on and so on and so on.